Hey everyone, KetchumAllCollectibles here. In today's video, we're going to follow up on a discussion we had a few weeks ago on a live stream where I was torn between selling some of my high-end slabs that I had, some amount of modern sealed Pokemon that I had, or some cryptocurrency. And ties in really well with my recent video, Opportunity Cost. I will link that above if you want to check that out if you missed it. But it just got to the point where my former collection, the cards that I had within it, really liked them, but it was time to move on from them. So I don't know what I will have titled this video, but a big turning point, as almost every card I hold in graded form will be gone, moved on from at this point. I've made a video before and I will update that in the future. I have tons of gifts I've gotten over the years, Secret Santas or just memorable cards that I pulled in person, my childhood binder. I think I did like 10 cards that I'll never sell in a video a couple years ago. All those cards I still have. Many more cards have been added. Mementos. Maybe someday if I ever win one of these, if I were to ever win one of these, I wouldn't be able to sell it. If one of my kids ever won one of these, I wouldn't be able to sell it. But this one, though it was cool having that story, going to DC Worlds, thinking of all the friends that I met for the first time and the people that I got to see again, buying the card directly from the winner themselves. It's just at the point where the live stream business going on, I'll talk more at length throughout this video what else I will be doing from the proceeds of these sales. But yeah, this card, where it lived in a safe deposit box. It lived in a dark box. I never appreciated it. I never took in its beauty and glory, all that good stuff. I do have the memories. The memories won't leave me when I sell this card. So yeah, it's time to go. One thing, this card's actually been featured in multiple videos before. I will try to remember to link above the video that I made when I actually sold. So I used to have a complete set of these for anyone. Let me brush over the history on this card and my interaction with the full art trophy Pikachus. I bought this card back in 2019 Worlds. At the time, I had a number 3 already. So this was like a duplicate card. I sold off the duplicate, but over, I want to say 2021, around 2020, 2021, I finished off my collection. I think late 2020, actually. So early 2020, I bought the number 1 Pikachu trophy. Late 2020, I bought the number 2, which allowed me to finish off my set. I had a full art set from 1 through 4, and I also had a couple duplicates. I think I had a spare number 3 and a spare number 4 at one point that were both sold. But the set was a long-term goal that I had set years prior. Getting back into the hobby some point, I don't even know, 2016, 2017, when I learned that these cards existed. 2018, I went to Nashville Worlds. 2019, I went to Washington, D.C. Worlds. Hopefully someday I'll get to go to one again. And another part, this video is going to be all over the place a little bit, but another part of why I'm selling this is that the fundamentals to the trophy Pikachu cards have actually changed fairly drastically in the past year or two as well. Not that I think this card is necessarily going to go down significantly. I actually think there's many scenarios that could lead this card to going up substantially over the coming months, years, decades. And relative to my opportunity cost, though, that I talked about in my video recently, I think I can do better. I think I can do better having that cash in hand for this card's value than what I would get in appreciation of having this card in a safe deposit box somewhere. So yeah, what I mean when I say the fundamentals have changed, they used to award juniors, seniors, masters, so 3 divisions, and they used to award the trophy Pikachus for VGC and TCG, video game and trading card game. But now they actually award them for 2 more. I believe Pokemon Unite and maybe Pokemon Go. Maybe one of the other. I don't know if they do Pokken Tournament anymore. I think Pokken Tournament is actually done. That used to be there at Worlds, and they never awarded the cards for that. But now instead of awarding 6 per year per placement, they actually award 12 per year per placement. There's always been some amount of extra copies out there. They did do a new artwork recently, so like this artwork is actually retired. Presumably they'll never go back to that XY era kind of full art. They have a new, very minor change. I kind of wish they had done more of a major change, made it more of an alternate art feel style, maybe more of like a trainer's gallery illustration, where whatever you want to call it. I wish they had gone more of that kind of feel, but they did a new style art, and they're releasing 12 every year. Not that that's a crazy amount. 12 plus some extra copies. They're not releasing substantial amounts of these, but kind of each one of these components that I'm talking about, my opportunity cost, the fundamentals of this card changing, among other things, among the fact that I never actually appreciated it. I never had it in my office. It's too expensive, insurance reasons, safety reasons, whatever. I've always just kept it off-site somewhere else for those reasons. So all these things adding up, I'm selling the card. And what you're looking at right here, this card is actually part of, this is not its buy it now sale price or anything. This is a Fanatics auction. If you ever want to consign with me on Fanatics, this card is at $11,500. The way Fanatics works, the bid plus 20% is the total sale price, hammer plus buyer's premium. And so as it stands with the current bid on this one, let me pull out my calculator quick. 11,500. I guess no need for a calculator for that. 11,500. Hopefully I don't mess up my math here, but add 20% to that would be $2,300. So it would be $13,800 if it were to end where it is. Hopefully it doesn't end where it is, because I did turn down, as I linked in the video earlier, when I sold my number 2 and number 4 trophy Pikachus to Rusty. I turned down $50,000 for this card, and I also turned down $90,000 on my number 1. So I made a massive 6-figure sale to Rusty. Just to kind of quickly recap that I made a 6-figure sale to Rusty, but I also declined 6 figures worth of sales on the number 1 and the number 3. Someday maybe I'll make I kind of have several case study type videos that I want to make in the future. Case study on evolutions and how I paid off my house with evolutions booster case sales. Case study on just the price trajectories of certain cards and how they've gone over time and how I handled them. And I'll definitely be doing a case study in the future on the Van Gogh Great Felt Hat Pikachu card, the sealed case play that John and I are doing right now. But anyways, continuing on, I turned down $50,000 for this card. I am not certain, but I'm quite confident that this card will go for some amount under that. And on top of that, had I sold the card, I would have had a lot of time to play with that money, a lot of time to do things with that money. So yeah, one thing I always say, everything's obvious in hindsight. If you ask Dan, well, if you could go back, would you sell it to Rusty? I actually did end up selling the number 1 for more money. So I turned down Rusty's $90K on the number 1, and then I sold it for more months later. Whereas this one, I turned down his $50K on this, and I'm selling it for how much less? Maybe it goes more, but I feel like that would be fairly unlikely. That remains to be seen. I guess down the line when I make my case study video on the Full Art Trophy Pikachus, the most valuable cards I've ever owned to date, some of the most valuable cards that I've ever sold to date, I think that could make a fun video. Another idea that I have too is like the 5 best. Like, even though I might be selling this card for less than it could have gone for in the past, I will still be selling this card for a substantial. It's already going for more than double what I paid for it originally back in 2019. So it's kind of like one of those interesting wins where it's kind of an L but kind of a big W still, in spite of that. Because yeah, I missed out on what it could have been, but I also got a big multiplier on investment returns, even though this was bought purely as a collector. I say purely as a collector, but with some mind for potential future price appreciation. And I sell it when I know that it could end up 50% lower 2 years from now. It could end up 2, 3, 4 times higher 2-3 years from now. Who knows? I truly don't. But I know that once I get the proceeds, and I will start going through, there's not just this card. There's other cards that I showed off. I believe 6 Art Academy cards that I showed off as well in that live stream, and they're all up for sale as well, ending on the same Sunday. 12-22. Sunday, December 22nd. These will all be ending on Fanatics. If you're interested, feel free to click the link in my description, and you can go bid on these and more in the KetchumAllCollectibles feature collection. But yeah, similar thing. Really cool card. I really like the Art Academy release. I kick myself because in 2015 I was there. I was there when these cards were selling for the low hundreds. Most of these I bought for a few $1,000s. I believe I will be making money on every Art Academy card that is for sale here. That was the PSA 10 Melly, which I bought directly from the artist. This is the PSA 9. I don't know if it's pronounced Zyme, but this one I also bought directly from the artist, I believe. And then the Tangrowth Gosha, the Lily Chan. This one I bought from the artist as well. But some of these Kecleon and Chespin, so Kecleon, Chespin, and Tangrowth were all bought aftermarket from someone else who had bought it from the artist, or maybe an extra copy. I'm not even entirely sure. But yeah, these cards, I love them, but it's just to the point where the proceeds that I'll raise from selling these cards, and I'll as I mentioned earlier, as I mentioned 8 minutes ago, I will tell you a little bit what I'll be doing with them. I'll be paying some amount of taxes. I'll be paying some amount of long-term capital gains to uh, account for my tax my tax requirements on these sales, on these gains. Just like anything else, when you make money, you've got to pay the piper. You've got to Sam's got his hand out, ready and waiting for that. But yeah, this year and every year I'm always talking about my buckets. All my buckets were filled, all my tax advantage buckets, as I do every year, as I've done every year since I have been full-time in Pokemon. I am maxing out my 401ks and IRAs, and my wife is maxing out all of hers too. So those are the requirements. That money left already, that is kind of a given. Any year that I'm full-time Pokemon, those things are going to be happening, at least for the time being, at least for the short to medium term future. But there were also a couple other opportunities outside of Pokemon that I made this year that required a fairly substantial amount of capital that was primarily pulled from the business. So some of this is recuperating some amount of capital that I took out of the business otherwise. And the other part of it is, well, I turned on a fairly decent tap. I opened up a tap, two of them actually, Ponga and PK, Fanatics live streams. Every night they're streaming, and every night they're selling four figures, multi four figures of Pokemon cards. The amount of liquidity that I need in my business, the amount of cash flow that I need in my business to satisfy the collection sales on, and a lot of this is not subsidized. A lot of this is done by consignment. Certain thresholds that I want to hit, certain goals that I want to hit with my Fanatics Collect sales. But some amount of that is done with consignment cards, but I'm always buying and selling still too. I'm always buying collections, some amount to be graded and sold through eBay, Fanatics Collect, and then some amount to be sold off through the live streams. So yeah, the amount of capital that I need to do the plays that I want to do, grading, buy the collections I want to buy, keep the live stream fed, and then kind of account for some money that I pulled out of the business earlier this year for my normal buckets and some other things that I did. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I need to get quicker to not only my former liquidity goal, liquidity cash flow is king. And I used to have a goal right around here. I had a goal right around here in the mid 5 figures that I needed to maintain so that I could be ready anytime a big collection buy came, anytime something came along. Well, now that I have more operations expanding, now that I'm targeting a larger gross sales number in 2025, and I'll do a lot of videos around how 2024 went and how 2025, how I hope it goes and how my predictions fared for 2024. But adding on these new wings, the live streaming especially, I'm finding that it requires more liquidity. It requires more constant cash flow moving through. So the more that you're moving through, the more you have to have in absolute terms to handle the same, like if you want 1 month, 2 month of cushion, or if you want a week or 2 weeks worth of cushion, well, when the number goes up, that number goes up too. So yeah, selling all this stuff will help me more quickly get to where I need to be. And as I believe, oh yeah, I'll talk on that one in a little bit. I'll talk on all these in a second, but this is the one I wanted to show. So this play is currently going amazingly. I never would have expected it to go the way that it did. There will be a full-fledged recap video sometime in early 2025, January or February, once I get all the grades back on all the grading card submissions. But I have one back from PSA, one back from CGC, one back from BGS, and it's going really, really well. You will see more of these on Z&G Emporium, eBay. You will see more of these on my Fanatics Collect auctions as well. I'll probably even send some to Ponga and PK. Coming in 2025, we will be focusing on doing some more, kind of like PK and I, how we did the launch live stream, the very, very high-end one, a lot of big stuff, small stuff too throughout the night. But we're going to be doing some more big event ones throughout 2025. So again, big event live streams every month in 2025 requires more liquidity, requires more cash flow. One other thing that I want to do a video on at some point, let me talk about this first actually. So this and these. So these are all ending the same week as my other card. As I said earlier, down below, like feel free to consign. I can't just promote my own auctions without showing some of the high-end consigner cards that are going Sunday night, the 22nd as well. So feel free to tune in and get your bids in on those. But yeah, one other thing that I've done in the past historically, and that I will continue to do in the future, slab optimization. So this card used to be a PSA 9 and it turned into a BGS 10. Some people might not believe the changes that can be made. I think on most days, this card would have been a BGS 10, but it just so happened to be a PSA 9 and then a BGS 9.5 and then a BGS 10. That's the journey that it took. And cards like this require a fair amount of liquidity. And yes, I am speaking, I guess some might take that as I'm speaking negatively towards my own card, right? If I tell you the history of my card, the former grades that it used to be that are lower than the current one that it's being sold on, that's not a very smart thing to do. But I'm open, transparent as I can be on this channel, and that's just the matter. The fact of the matter is that this card used to be in a different slab in a lower grade, and this one was a straight 10. I actually cracked a box. And I contemplated going for a black label play. It was a BGS 9.5, so it was never a PSA 9 or anything, but it did in a former life used to be a BGS 9.5. Now it's graduated to a 10. And not that one, but I thought I had one more in here. There's been cards that I've bought historically, PSA 9s turned them into PSA 10s. Buying PSA 9s turning them into CGC 10s. Buying lot of different optimizations you can make up the ladder and trying to get to the black label is the tippity top, BGS 10, CGC pristine, PSA 10, and then all the grades below that you would graduate up into those ranks. That's a play that I used to do historically. It's worked out pretty well as long as you're buying a very clean example, a very clean copy, giving it a second go around. And sometimes it's giving it a second go around with the same company. Sometimes it's just putting it into the proper company. Maybe that PSA 9 was only ever a PSA 9 and you send it to CGC for the first time and it gets the CGC 10. Some cards get a substantial premium in a BGS 9.5. So that is something that I want to return to more in 2025. It's something I have not done drastically. I did turn a PSA 9 Neo Discovery First Edition Umbreon into a CGC 10 that was recently auctioned on Z&G Emporium on eBay. But those things require a fair bit of capital. If you want to go on to Fanatics, if you want to go on to eBay and you want to be bidding on multi 4-figure cards, maybe some 5-figure cards to try to turn them into a higher level. Well, if you've got 20, 30, 40 cards in play, that can quickly add up to $30, $50, $100,000. And I don't know exactly what amount of capital I will allocate to these kinds of plays. They won't always work. It's not like you'll hit every one, but as long as the numbers work out, like it's a very potentially lucrative thing, not without any risk because you can damage a card or something. But I could make a video. I have made videos in the past, I think, on slab optimization alone. But that's just one thing that I want to turn to more in 2025. The amount of higher end, high dollar sales, it really helps push your numbers up with the various platforms too. So if I buy a PSA 9 on eBay and sell it through Fanatics as a CGC 10, just the amount of additional $2, $3, $5, $10,000 sales that you can get that you wouldn't otherwise have unless you were making those plays, because you're not finding collections every day. I mean, any day that I could find this raw, buy it, grade it for the first time, I will be doing that too. I do that as well. But yeah, that's just something that I want to turn back into. That liquidity from these sales will be going directly into, like, the liquidity that comes from these will be going in directly into sourcing for the live streams, directly into buying things from the market, turning them into slab optimization plays. And yeah, I wanted to provide a little additional highlight. Very rarely do I think that there are many things in the hobby that do better as a set. I'm one that always says break down a set, sell everything individually. This one, the consignor desired to keep it as a set. And this is one of the rare things that I think, due to the fees primarily. So if you sell 126 cards separately, most of them, if you look down below, most of them would be getting anywhere. I mean, some of them would go sub 120. Some of them, the consignor would only net 85% minus $5. Some would go between 120 and 480, and the consignor would net 90%. Some would go through every range, but this one will end in the $2,400 plus range. This one, the consignor will net 95% of the payout. And we'll never know because we went down this path. We can't go down the other path simultaneously. But I'm quite confident that the consignor will net significantly more than they would have had they done 126 individual auctions. So what this is, if you couldn't tell, it's an entire 126 card set of 151 Japanese Master Ball Reverse Hollows. So if you're interested, this auction is up all week and it's ending this Sunday, the 22nd as well, along with the other cards. Really massive block. Actually, as I'm recording this on December 15th, the first block that I've had, the first $50,000 week that I've had in several weeks on Fanatics Collect. So nice way to end the year to have weekly auction 153, $50,000 plus. And then I'll be fairly sad if it's not the case, but I'm quite confident that weekly auction 150, weekly auction 152 is what ended tonight as I record. These are weekly auction 153. So back-to-back weeks with $50,000 plus in total sales, which is a very nice way to end the year. But yeah, that's pretty much what I had. I just wanted to show off the very high-end big cards that I'm moving on from and then kind of talk about why. I truly think that some of these cards could, I mean, I know, I don't think, I know they could double in the next 5-10 years. I know they could outperform at S&P 500. They could. Do I think they will, though? I would attribute a certain percentage to it. I think it's less likely that in 10 years these will outdo my S&P 500, especially tax advantage funds, entirely passive, no risk, no insurance needs, anything like that. I think they won't, but I know that they could. And the biggest thing is, though, I know what I can do with these funds in my business, and I think that's the best thing for me at this time. So reviewing my opportunity cost, heeding my own advice from that recent video, I am moving on from these cards, and that could be an opportunity for you. If you want to reach out to consign, if you want to reach out to sell anything to me, slab sealed singles. I am actually, I forgot I had one more thing to show. I'm always buying. So I'm always buying slab singles and sealed. Right now, this is my website. I'm going to make it cleaner, nicer, more friendly for people to find. And I'm going to make it so you can see actually, like right here, I have a whole lot of information in here. Occasionally, you'll see all these numbers here I was quoting out someone's collection. So I put the numbers in here, and yeah, the math was actually broken on this one that I did recently. But anyways, I will find a way. I've not yet figured out how to do it, but to be honest, I have not spent much time. These are the current live prices pulled into a Google Sheet on all the recent sets. A lot of the recent sets. I think I skip a couple up here in XY. But I plan to find a way to get these living on my website. I will get them here so that you can see. And I know I've had people ask me for. I've had people ask me for many times. I told people to ask in a live stream. Here's the formula. So if you want to know how do I get the live price into a spreadsheet, I know it's going to be very hard to pause this and get it in there. But what's being done is an import XML. And I might make a short to show you how to do this. But import XML, and then you put the URL of the item that you're trying to get the price on. And then this whole thing, which is basically just directions for the import to pull from the XPath data when you inspect element. I'm saying a lot of words that I don't know exactly what they mean. But anyways, I will try to remember to copy and paste this in the description of the video for anyone that desires to track the TCG player pricing on certain items within a spreadsheet. Because I told people in a live stream to DM me, and I've DM'd that to 10 to 20 people. And instead of having to DM a ton of people, I would rather just have them get it from the description of this video. I will try to make a short in the future. But yeah, I'm going to try to tidy up my website. I'm going to try to do an overhaul that I launch in early 2025. And what it will do, two things it'll do. It'll tell you what I'm paying percentage-wise, and then it will show you what those are. So it's right now, I'm paying generally 75%. I'm targeting $50 sub $50 PSA 9 and 10 slabs, paying 75%. I'm targeting sub $30 raw English or Japanese promos and singles, and I'm paying 75%. And I'm targeting sealed booster box cases, ETB cases, and loose packs. I've lowered to approximately 70% because the amount, I've spent six figures. Part of why I need some more cash flow too is because I've spent six figures in the past 6 weeks, 7 weeks, stocking up on packs for my live streams. And in 2025, I don't know exactly when it will happen, but it's quite likely. It's quite likely that I will be adding an additional platform to the live stream offerings, likely eBay Live, because it is the restricted one that I'm currently in as well. And I will likely be adding a third streamer. I'm talking with some different people, multiple different people. If you want to have your hat in the ring, now that we're 25 minutes in, feel free to reach out. Feel free to reach out. It's quite likely. It is exceedingly likely that if and when I hire a third streamer, a third independent contractor streamer, it is highly likely that I've already spoken to that individual. So don't be nervous if you're out there hoping that you're the third streamer and, oh man, I've already been talking to Dan. Now he's trying to get more people on. There could be a fourth. There could be a fifth someday. Who knows? I want to keep my options open. So feel free to reach out if you want to throw your hat in the ring. If you desire, I've done a lot of data compilation on the streams that have happened thus far. Sometime in early 2025, I'm always talking about the future videos that are on my mind. I will be doing a recap of the 90 days, the first 90 days of Fanatics Live, which we have not yet crossed. We are currently at day 70-ish maybe. So I need 20 more days worth of data, and then I need the time to go through them. But sometime in late January or early February likely, I will be making a video recapping the 90 days experiment on how live streaming is going. Teaser a little bit. It's going quite well. It's going quite well to the extent that I plan on adding a second sales platform, and I plan on adding a third streamer and maybe a fourth and a fifth, and who knows. The amount of additional liquidity and everything I know I'll need. I don't have any more slabs to sell. I don't have any more PC slabs that I could dip into, long-term inventory that I could dip into. Though I'm listing my uncut sheets on eBay. I have a lot of other things that I'm selling. Because yeah, the opportunity cost of holding those things. And yeah, that's where I'm at. That is a late 2024 update video on all things Dan, KetchumAllCollectibles, and his business. So any questions, any comments, anything, let me know if you think I'm crazy for selling those slabs. But per a poll that I did in my live stream a few weeks ago, this is where I was leaning. This is where I decided to go independent of that poll. But most people said I should sell these specific slabs before I sold my Bitcoin, before I sold my Pokemon sealed. So interesting to see that me and my followers, my viewers agreed, and we'll see how it pans out. Maybe 5 years from now, I'll be making a video titled "The Worst Mistake I Ever Made," selling my cards that went to $1 million from the 30, 40, 50, 80. I don't know what they're gonna go for. But yeah, hopefully that video doesn't have to be made. Hopefully it'll be one of the best decisions that I make. But yeah, with that, almost 30 minutes, standard Dan video. I appreciate you all watching. I will catch you all later.